Niger Delta Today. Let's bring you up to speed with our conversation for today, which has to do with the oil producing communities and the management of the trust fund. Now, the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly recently took steps to address what it called the growing concerns surrounding the management of the host community development trust fund in oil producing communities across the state. Now, this motion was by member representing Akwa Ibom State constituency, Honorable Engineer Udobia Udo, who highlighted the urgent need to resolve issues threatening peace in the affected communities. Now, Honorable Udo had explained that following the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, the Moyemi Host Community Development Trust was inaugurated last year to drive grassroots development in oil-impacted communities, including Eket Mbo, Ona, Ibno, Ikarabasi, Impareni, Esreket, and Isnobolo local government areas. So he noted further that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, and Mobile Producing Nigeria, NPN, through their NNPC NPN joint venture, have also far disbursed over 30 billion naira for various development projects in these communities. However, dissatisfaction has arisen over the implementation and management of the funds, leading to growing agitation and unrest. Meanwhile, the people of Ibano local government area of Akwa Ibom, one of the major oil-producing communities in the state, have raised the alarm over claims that the State House of Assembly unduly meddled in the Host Community Development Trust Funds (HCDTF) as a result of the motion raised by the member representing Asregat. Well, we'll be talking about these issues and trying to understand the extent to which these funds have been disbursed, how true it is, and how far they have been deployed for the developmental projects that they are meant for, which is supposed to impact the lives of citizens, the persons living in these communities that are oil-bearing, oil-producing. We'll not be talking about this alone. We'll have a social analyst in the studio, one who also has quality experience in the oil and gas business, having served as a former manager at Petroleum Nigeria Limited. He is also currently purchase manager, Goods Maria, an oil and gas inclined establishment. Honorable Paulinus Peter joins us live. Honorable Peter, you're welcome on Niger Delta Today.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to have you
Thank
on
you
the
for
program.
joining us, sir.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Well, this conversation around how the funds that accrue to the host community development trusts are used, are deployed. It's one that has trickled all through the Niger Delta region. A couple of days ago, we've been talking about the PIA generally and how effective it has been since it came on board in 2021, that is August. And so far, stakeholders have their reservations, and they've also given their commendations for the extent to which the PIA has, been upstream and been effective. But then there are also concerns, and one of the areas where concerns have been voiced would be how this trust fund, the host community trust fund, has been managed. The funds that accrue to the host communities, how have they been deployed for the developmental projects that they are meant for? Holistically now, I want you to appraise the PIA and this component of the host community trust fund. Was it a good initiative, starting from there?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I must commend the member representing the Circuit for bringing this discussion to the public domain, because these are some of the things some of us have been shouting and talking about, that there's a whole lot happening in the management of the community trust fund. But be that as it may, we must understand the fact that what is happening in the petroleum industry is not too different from what is happening in the larger Nigerian society. And that's because I've always said and been of the opinion that the problem with our country, Nigeria, is never lack of laws. We have some fine laws that should naturally and put the country on the path of development. But what we've been having over time has not been the case. That's because for us, I strongly believe that the law on its own cannot just translate, into the outcome that the people yearn for if there is no human factor. And that's why you agree with me that human factor, or you call it human resource, is one of the most important, factors in human, enterprise. So the PIA bill, has come into stay. But the problem I feel we have is we don't deploy the kind of energy. I'm talking about us Nigerians now, whether Niger Delta or the entire citizens of Nigeria in a larger perspective. The kind of energy we deploy in agitating, for enactment of laws does not seem to commiserate with the energy we should deploy in demanding how the law works. Just like what happened with the Freedom Information Bill, that we all agitated it should be passed, as if once it is passed, all our problems will be solved. The bill has been, passed and out of the parliament. So to what extent have we been making use of that act that is already the law of the land? So for me, it feels we enjoy agitations for an enactment of law, and once that is done, we go back to sleep. It's quite unfortunate. Now, to look at how the management of the Community Trust Fund has been, run, we have to first and foremost look at the objective of the Petroleum Industrial Act. What are the objective or the motive of this very law? You agree with me that one of the key factors has to do with governance and the development of the host community. I would like to restrict myself to that because this seems to be the area that so much concerns us at this point in time. You cannot talk about governance without the subsets that make governance, what it should be. You can't talk about governance without transparency. You can't talk about, governance without accountability. And here we are, having a community trust fund that has been set up, and that fund, that body has been shrouded in, nobody knows what is happening there. Okay. Nobody knows how much has been accrued. And don't forget, what we are talking about here is 3% of what the IOCs, the international oil companies, and even the local companies, the 3% of their profit should be given to the host community for the development of the host community. Because before now, we the host community, we the Niger Delta, we have been crying foul that that our environment has been degraded, that our oil has been, resources have been taken from our environment, and the development we have does not equal to the damage that is done to our environment. And we have been pointing fingers that it is the IOC that are our problem. But this has proven otherwise, that our problems are actually Nigerians, because what has happened now is a situation where players are just changed. And the people that are there now, with due respect to their persons, they seem to have the mindset that now it's our turn, to have share of the national cake without minding, the root cause or the essence for which this very bill was passed into law and the rest of it. And until we understand that essence, things will continue to be the way they are. And it's quite unfortunate that we don't seem to ask questions. All our emphasis and issues has been on government. But with what has come to fore, we have seen that even the funds that are agreed to this body is more than what the local government is having and what have you. So it is the right time, for people to sit back. Again, like you talk about the people of Ibono saying the State House Assembly, they are meddling and the rest of it. To some extent, they are right, because when you talk about the petroleum issues, they are in the federal exclusive list, where the state has little or no powers, over. So I think they are trying to just explore these lacuna, these lapses in the law to do whatever they like. But it should not be so, because this is what we have been saying, that the IOCs have not been developing our society, and now the law is there. Take what is due and go and develop your society, go and develop your environment, go and do what you have been accused us of, only for us to end up having the worst instead of having better. So it's a situation of where people say, jumping from fry pan to fire.
Okay.
Is quite unfortunate.
Okay, well, before you got to this point, you talked about commending the member that sponsored this bill, bringing it to public hearing. And now you're saying the people of Ibom have a right to also say the intervention of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly seemingly is now like an intrusion. So where do you really stand? Do you think the step taken by the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly in coming into this issue, is it wrong or right?
Where I stand is, sincerity of purpose.
Okay.
If you know that the law that sets up your institution, has powers and limitations, that you cannot actually do much about petroleum issues or matters, since they are beyond your purview, they are beyond your powers.
Even when it comes to non-accountability and
well, things happen within the framework of the law. It's like saying ADBN. You have a parameter that establishes you. Now, no matter what you know, no matter what you have, it will amount to some abuse of power if you tend to add within your jurisdiction. So they all know that petroleum matters is in the exclusive legislative list,
okay,
where the state government, whether the state legislature or the executive arm of government of the state, lacks the power. That's the position of the law. That's the position of the constitution. So trying to say you want to do this is another way of deceiving the people, and that. So good intention, as I always said, does not translate to, the end outcome. It may want to do. But again, we must ask ourselves, why do we really need to set up the community development fund if the government has actually been doing well? So it's a matter of an evil wind that blows nobody no good. And that is quite unfortunate. That's the position we have been finding ourselves. And the House of Assembly, with due respect to them, are talking about how to set an ad hoc committee. We have seen that over and over again. There is something I should say which might not go down well with you. We have a situations where government committees, I'm not just restricting to Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly or Akwa Ibom State government. We have a situation where government committees are set up with the sole intention of trying to get their own share of the national cake, but deceiving the people to think and reason that they are, fighting for
genuinely
them.
Interested
but in practical, that has been, to the contrary. Just like the local government, the State House of Assembly will say, we are going to the local government to see how the chairmen are faring, while they know the root cause of the problem. That without financial autonomy, there is nothing the local government could do. They know this. They supervise local government. They know the amount of money that the state government, in quote, not just in Akwa Ibom State, but all over the country, release to the local government. So they are only going there with their superpower to say, look, the little you have been given, why not? I want to end it at that. So it's quite unfortunate. And that is the problem of Nigeria. Never the law, but our mentality and perspective.
Oh, Paulinus, let's look at the real issues that you may have seen from your domain as regards the conflicts that have arisen in terms of talking about the management of this trust fund. Have you heard of pockets of issues that have arisen within Akwa Ibom regarding the management of this trust fund, as has been insinuated by the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly? Have there been issues so far?
A whole lot of issues. First and foremost, we understand the fact that the PIA bill, which is law now, was established for good governance and community development. And the federal government in its ministry has made it possible or compelling these oil companies operating in our domains to set aside 3% of their profits for the development of the host communities or the local communities. So until we have that, but what we end up having is a situation where some people, being so fortunate. And of course, let's look at the constitution of this community trust fund committee. Let's look at the constitution, the people that made up. It seems to be, a retirement benefit grant for some people. You look at the members making up. They are former this, former that. we would have thought that they would bring their experience, their exposure, and their expertise
Isn't
to
that
help
why?
the community. But that is not what is
why they are
happening.
coming?
So what is happening? What is actually happening is a situation where people that are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring corporate governance, people that are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring service delivery, people that are saddled with the responsibility of regulation, people that should call the IOCs, the oil companies to question, people that should regulate them, people that should checkmate them, actually get what they have been, in quote, generally, accusing these people of. And this thing has been released without them using it. Okay. Good enough, I'm from Padenin, an oil producing area. Just last week, something happened, and I saw on media that the MOM, has decided to build those 6 classroom blocks in my own village, secondary school. And I asked question, how do they come about it? We have a story building in the school that has been so dilapidated. And I said, I feel that this thing should be about people, should be people driven. That gone are the days somebody will sit somewhere. Now, before now, we have been saying it's a national, that people will sit in Abuja and dictate what should happen in Akwa Ibom State. But now, powers have been, trickled down. Power has been given to our uncles, to our brothers and sisters, that go and do it in your own way. What do we end up having? We are having the worst. That is to tell us that the issue of governance in Nigeria, the issue of lack of development, is not just government. It's the mindset, the perspective of the people. Give an average Nigerian an opportunity to make a difference. It will mess up the whole thing. And that is why we have been having from good to worse in our country. Okay, you will agree with me that it appears to be in Nigeria today that every successive government seems to be the worst compared to the one we had earlier. Okay. Why should it be so? Because people are just waiting for opportunity, not for service delivery, not for development, but to corner the whole thing. So what I'm saying in the essence is this, that the essence of that PI has been grossly, abused. The money that has been released, nobody knows the exact amount.
Have you not seen any successes so far recorded by the HCTF?
So what do you call, given the amount, do you know what is 3% of profits of oil companies? I operate within the corridor of oil companies.
Okay, so are you saying the oil companies should outrightly come out to declare their profits so that we'll know what is given to this community?
Not declaring. They should declare what has been given to this committee so that we can follow up from there.
Okay.
Because until we know what is given.
Well, according to Honorable Udobia,
he mentioned 30 billion.
He mentioned 30 billion.
You mentioned 30 billion. Only for you to see this committee and saying we have given 2 people scholarship. And what is their own way of scholarship? Maybe you pay tuition fees for a session, all that. Does that justify the huge amount of money involved? This is exploitation by our own people. That's the most painful aspect of it. Okay. Before now, we have been saying it's these people. But now our own people, the people we know, the people living with us.
Okay, so
for me, I look forward to seeing a situation where this, a development trust fund management committee should actually come up with a blueprint. They should actually do the construction of roads they have been, accusing these companies of not doing. Okay. They should actually, do projects that will touch and add values to the community, to the people, to the locals. And not just to, operate in a way that nobody understands.
Okay, so what other policies now would you recommend that they put in place to effectively contribute to the development of these communities, both socially and environmentally? The
problem we have in Nigeria is whenever we have, find ourselves in a position of authority, we feel we have arrived or we are the emperor. Of course, I always agitate for the rule of law. There is a law that set up this committee that has spelled out, that has divided your powers and limitations, that has spelled out your responsibilities, which is good governance, which is community development. So you are not to bring your opinion. That's why I believe in, impartiality, because when it comes to administrations, we feel we should not lead based on our own opinion. Because we can be biased. So let's follow the law the way it is.
But when it comes to community engagement, do you think there is also a bone to pick with those who are representing these communities?
There is everything wrong with the way they operate.
Okay.
So what I feel they should do, first and foremost, there should be accountability and transparency. We should know how has been released by oil company to this community. And this community, they should sit down with the people. I've always been, I've always canvassing for bottom-up approach of governance, where there should be need assessment.
Okay.
Because you may think that people in New York, they need water, whereas that is not what they need. Sit with the people, get an impulse from them, get them involved, then they actually tell you what is their present needs. Then you now prioritize that based on the available resources. If we don't get that, it will always be a place for settlement. And this is what this MOMA and the PIA has turned out to be. Okay. Where the people that are so privileged, whether as a reason of being in government or one position or the other, will always find their people to settle. It has become settlement for the boys and girls. And development, there is nothing like that.
Well,
so it's the same thing.
Well, Mr. Paulinus, we're talking about the monitoring of the processes of these host community trust fund and how it has been implemented. Do you think that there are specific steps that can be taken to ensure where these funds that have so far been released to are going to, how they have been, disbursed or used for any kind of developmental ventures within the...
So you have said it all. Even the federal government, even the government will tell you that in this month, this is also amount of money that is allocated to Akwa Ibom State, to Barani local government, to your local government. We call it, federation accounts or monthly allocations. So until you get a picture of what is available, you may not know what should be done. So when you don't understand, they may tell you these people are not complying, there is no money, there is not this, there is not that. But you are seeing them, they are living flamboyant life, they are doing what they have been accusing this company of. So first and foremost, there should be transparency. There should be accountability. The people should be involved. The law should be followed. The objective of this body should be adhered to. Because without that, we'll end up having a situation where this money have been pocketed. Okay. So we are talking about 30 billion naira here. That is the one we have just heard, and the rest of it. This body was inaugurated since last year, and this thing has been running in silence. They have been going about it as business as usual. And whenever they like, they will say, okay, we have 3 or 5 persons to empower with Kegena Pep, with mini buses and what have you. Is that how we can develop?
Okay, now...
Is that what this body is meant for?
Okay, you've been hammering on transparency. So it's obvious that there's a point where we're missing it. Now, some people have come up to say the transparency we clamor for should be a 3-pointer where it involves the government, the communities, and the oil companies, international oil companies. So where are we missing it? If we have these 3 people on ground, but we're still missing it, so what exactly is the issue?
So the issue is the perspective and the mentality of the Nigerian people. These 3 things you have always mentioned as always being the issue. You talk about the government. Of course, the government is there, but we are saying the government is not representing
the people.
The people, the government, they just feel they are not part of us. I don't know if you understand my point. They just feel it is our thing. Let us do it our own way. But we are saying,
is that not always? Has that not always been the clamor?
That has been the reason we are not developing.
Okay.
And we are saying we should do it in a better way. And we are still using the old approach. People say it's madness.
So what's the better way you would recommend, sir?
First and foremost, we should know how much is accrued to this body on monthly basis. This is a challenge to the IOCs, and the federal government should ensure that there's a publication and there is an external body that is set up to supervise the host community management trust fund. Because without that, if you don't have checks and balances, there is bound to be an abuse.
Okay.
And what is grossly lacking here is that checks and balances. We have few people that have been selected, feel so privileged and fortunate that it is now our turn. We have hammer in quotes. So there is no check and balances. They just do whatever they like. For me, I have always been of the view that we have been accusing these people that they don't do this, they don't do that. Now, they have given us the power to do it for ourselves. And we are still doing it the same way.
But now you're saying we should go back to the way we're doing by involving the federal government again after giving us the liberality to do it ourselves.
The thing is this. You don't just give power You don't just give authority without responsibilities, otherwise there will be an abuse.
Okay.
So the federal government should not just relax after passing this bill into law. Just like while we have EFCC, why can't we say because the state government, they are independent, they should operate the way they like, they should spend the money? Why do we have EFCC? Why do we have ICPC? Why do we have all these things in place?
So the EFCC and the ICPC, are you saying their mentality
should,
as Nigerians is quite different from those who are being accused right
well,
now?
that is why I started. That is why I started by saying that the issue of governance with Nigeria has never been government. I have an opportunity to test government, and while I was there, I never understand what is government. Even while they were still complaining as the government that the state government is not doing this, while the people outside they are accusing us. So at the end of the day, you understand that people are the real government. So people should stand their ground. There should be a kind of social real orientation where we take responsibilities, where you understand that power is for service, where you understand that authority, there must be some set of responsibilities attached to authority, otherwise there will be gross abuse. And that has been what has been happening in every stratum of government, whether in the corporate, whether in the private, whether in the public. And this is what we have been having, and this is a Nigerian problem. So blame game will not solve these issues. I can bet you, these people that are saying these people have eaten when they have done that, if you, like tomorrow, you put them into this same committee, they will do the worst.
Well, let's talk about the standardized process that you feel can be deployed to give each project the needed focus or attention. What priorities should we lay to the projects that you feel should receive funding when it comes to the host community?
First and foremost, there should
fund.
be that bottom-up approach, where you meet with the people, you interact with them, you get inputs from them, get to know what they want. You are not a Superman. That once you have opportunity, you now feel that you are the most intelligent, the most knowledgeable.
Or you just award a contract to someone you know for a project
That's
that is not needed.
One. Number two, how are these people selected? It should actually be the people that select. I don't know if you understand my point. Yes. They should throw it open. Like, but in the local government, we need so we need 3 persons from you. Not for the local government chairman to sit down somewhere and write names before you know it, you feel this is representing you. And of course, don't forget the fact that he that pays the piper, they takes the tune.
True.
The person so selected by either the local government or the state government will be answerable to the person that selected him. So power should truly be given back to the people, where the people are given the privilege, the rights and the privilege to elect the people they want. What is suffering in our polity, in our political culture and our political environment is something that we cannot write more about. We have a situation where the chairman can even sit down and write somebody that the community does not know. Somebody that does not stay in the community, does not know the problem of the community, and before you know it, they will tell you it is your representative. That is where we are missing it out. Powers are not given to the people. Even when we say development, the people they just sit down and see a contractor. And it's bad to the extent that the contractor might not even tell them what they are coming to do. We have a situation, you just wake up and see people in your environment, they begin to do however they want, and is that how there should be an organized, a systematic way of getting things done, not this haphazard way of doing things.
Okay.
That's the point.
Okay, now, you know, there's this saying that has been on for for a while now, that we might run out of oil very soon. Now, with the mismanagement of funds, do you think there is anything even left for the next generation to fall back to? After answering that, you will now tell us if it is okay if we keep a portion of these funds for the next generation, for future purposes.
Well, I have been a believer of the fact that while we believe in, of course, we should ask ourselves, what is sustainability? Sustainability is the ability and capacity to take care of the now without hampering the benefit of tomorrow.
True.
And I will fall back to what His Excellency, Right Honorable Ameki once said, that we in the Niger Delta, we are having oil and we are treated this way. What will happen when we no longer have this oil and the rest of it? But my point is this: it is no longer an outsider that is maltreating us. It is our uncles, our fathers, our parents, our siblings. Through the enactment of the Petroleum Industrial Act, Power has been given to our people. So it is now our people that are now abusing us.
So, but is there any provision in the PIA for reservation for future generations? For sustainability's sake, like you said.
Of course there is.
So how far has that been implemented so far?
There is. You can't have that when you don't know what is at stake. When you don't know what is, that's the truth.
Okay.
When you don't know what is at stake, when you don't have knowledge of what is available, how will you now talk about what should be preserved? So that is why we say sincerity of purpose, point number one, transparency, accountability, and these are all subsets of governance that the PIA law has said that they should ensure governance, there should be a regulation. This committee should actually be the ones to act on behalf of the community with the IOCs. But what they are doing, they are conniving. It seems the IOCs are actually discharging their responsibilities and what have you. And instead of it going down, our people now pocket it. It's all over. It's not just in the PIA, even in the NDDC. The NDDC is an intervention agency. But at times I feel who should intervene for this intervention agency? Because you have an agency of government that should ensure that there is critical development of infrastructure, and that agency will reduce itself to doing what the local government should do, parking of refugees and what have you.
But
is that why NDDC should be set up? So there is something wrong with the way we think and the way we operate and the rest of it. Well, and that has been the issue. See, whenever our people are in government, we just feel that there are no more Nigerians, and this is colonial mentality, where we feel governance is just once you are there, you are no more Akwa Ibomite, you are no more a Nigerian, you don't do it. Then when you now leave government, we have seen it in the lives and insinuations of our past leaders and presidents. When, like the chief of Obasanjo will come and say, this is what stops you when you were there. Sure. We have seen it from our past governors. While they are governors, they wouldn't, and they will make sure that the local government autonomy does not succeed. But once they leave and go to the Senate or elsewhere, they will preach local government autonomy. So it's hypocrisy of the highest order.
So then there was no unification of purpose.
What do you mean by how do you come about unification? There has always been. What do you mean by dialogue? There has always been there. But we feel that once we are in government, we are in charge, forgetting the fact that government does not last forever. So while we are enjoying, I don't know if you can fathom a situation whereby whatever you do, you know, you are giving allowance, you are sitting, there's sitting allowance, you are standing up, there's standing allowance, the food you eat, everything. So you feel that other people that are not there, they are not human beings. So you can do whatever you like. But once you now live there with the rights and privileges, you now say, okay, there should be good governance and the rest of us.
There's a problem.
That has been my problem.
There's still the issue of the legal protection. This comes in because, I mean, that provision has to be there somewhere in the PIA where the communities affected would have a way of showing that these funds that have been accruing to us have been mismanaged. They've been used into funding other purposes away from the developmental plans that they're supposed to focus on to the communities. Do you think that the legal protection aspect can be explored for communities that feel aggrieved?
How will you go about that? For me, it's not just about what you want to do. You must also tell me how you want to do it. Because when you talk about legal protection, you're actually looking at a situation where you petition somebody somewhere. And who are you petitioning? If the person that you should petition is actually the one that ensuring that this thing does not work.
You're saying our courts are not reliable?
I'm not just talking about the court. I am talking about the entire Nigerian system. I'm talking about the entire Nigerian system. That we are not doing it rightly. We are not sincere to ourselves, and that is the truth. We should forget about, you know, this theory of a thing. Let's tell ourselves the truth. That's where it should start. We have a situation whereby even if I sit in this studio, there are things I should say, you will never want me to say it. Because you will feel that the management will deal with it to some extent. But you can be suffering in silence. That's the situation we find ourselves. We find ourselves in the situation, if you are a worker, you dare not say you are not paid, otherwise you'll be fired. So we are just suffering and smiling, like fella said.
Well, Mr. Pollins, as long as you are within the ambits of the MBC prescriptions and you don't violate the rules, there's nothing stopping you from airing your mind. This is it's a program. It's a program structured.
Okay.
It's a program structured to inform the people, educate the people as to what's pertinent and what's affecting the Niger Delta.
Government has come up to, when you see something, say something. Are you with me? But there's an extent you can say something, you know, you are deaf. That's the truth.
Well,
we are in a society where truth are not encouraged.
You say something constructively.
What do you mean by constructive?
You don't want to pull down the whole country with what you're saying, right?
Government fronts up. If we are to run government the way government it should be run, I shouldn't say what you want to hear. I should tell you what you should hear, and not what you want to hear. Just like our state government, not as if I'm attacking the state government, even the federal government. You are saying we should take out, you know, first Friday for farming. We have done that for almost 2 years now. What has changed? Check. So if has not changed, it means we are not sincere to ourselves, sir. Now you talked about the PI, the legal framework you are talking about. It's not just for the body. It's to ensure that even the IOCs, the oil companies, complied with our labor law. But that is not done, and this is the body that should tell them, look, you have violated the Nigerian labor law. But because of what they are getting, they have shortchanged the people. They are keeping quiet. I don't know if you understand my point.
The problem is, who should be responsible for creating the awareness, the public awareness? Because it might seem as though there are a lot of people who do not know what is happening with the trust fund.
Sir, if you are, there was a time I called you that, look, that there's something going on somewhere. But all our emphasis is on government, local government, state government. What is coming through this PI is so huge that we can't, afford keeping quiet. So what you are doing now is the right step in the right direction. While we are doing it, you know, we should do it on a sustainable basis and be sincere to ourselves and what have you. Like the Honorable House member that has said it, you know, that has brought it to the public domain. I congratulate him. But he should also, you know, be fair enough to know that there are things that the state, you know, House of Assembly cannot do as far as, you know, the petroleum matters are concerned.
First things first. What do you think should be the first things first? Should we be finding out how much exactly it is that is accruing to these host communities through this trust fund?
These people that are there should be brought to book. They should be asked to account for what they have received so far and how they have utilized it. If there is no deterrence, people are, you know, prone to breaking the laws. I don't know if you understand my point. No human being wants to keep the law. So what compels people to keep the law is deterrence. You know, some punitive measures. But if you do it and you go away with it, then people will feel it's normal. So we are finding a situation where abnormal has become normal. And we call it a new normal. And when it favors us, we jubilate. We call it favor. We call it grace. We call it what have you. When it does not favor us, that is when we cry foul. That is hypocrisy. And that is how we are running this our country. Like the subsidy. Don't forget, it is because of this PIA that subsidy has been removed.
So that we can fund it.
So that there can be enough money, you know, at the disposal of the host community. And federal government say, okay, if we are giving you more than what we have been giving you, we can no longer continue to, you know, fund the consumption of fuel for you. And people that should ensure this relief coming to the people are actually sitting and they are doing what they are doing. And don't forget, they are doing it in connivance with government. Like the community, it is actually the local government that has set up.
Well,
that set it up. And the people that are there are people that, you know, that they have hands in government.
Mr. Pollins, we're out of time, but we'll really thank you specially for always coming on the program.
Yes.
It's been a while we had this conversation, but we'll continue to look at the host communities of these oil-bearing communities, bringing to the fore pertinent issues, especially as it relates to the people and how these funds are being utilized. Thank you very much, Pollins Peter, for coming on Niger Delta Today.
Thank you so much, sir.
It has always been my pleasure, and I will always urge you to keep it up.
All right.
Thank
you
you
very
so
much. Well, that's the size of Niger Delta Today. Many thanks for staying tuned until this moment. See you again tomorrow. My name is Xavier Robert, wishing you a terrific afternoon.
And I am Awe Ruswagene Ebo. Do enjoy the rest of our programming. Bye.